Hello, everyone, and sorry for the delay. We have Pravin Mani with us, and welcome to this Music Chatter show. Now, incidentally, Praveen had a small accident yesterday, and so he's got a cut lip, and so he's decided to come in as mask. Let me tell you, he's not infected with the COVID-19 virus.
And I'm staying safe.
So, yeah. So we have Pravin Mani, who shuttles between Toronto and Chennai, and everyone know him. And he is known for his background scores in films, documentaries, and videos that bring out a lot of emotion. So this episode of Manjari Music has a very special significance in the fact that we have just decided to, Maithili and myself, we have decided to work with Praveen Mani uh, on a continuous basis for various projects which will come over a period of time. So welcome to the show, Praveen. And
Hello, hello
Maithili,
everybody.
Maithili, yours.
Yeah, welcome, Mr. Pravin Mani. Welcome to the Music Chatter.
Thanks for
It
having
is
me.
well known that you have a fabulous working relationship with AR Rahman, the god of music. It is said that in all your ventures that you have been together, those songs were super hits. Can you tell exactly what exactly you do for AR Rahman and what are the projects you work together?
Okay, so basically, I'm a I'm a producer, music arranger. I was a music programmer. So which means we basically put ideas together, taken from live musicians, or we program music from synthesis, vocals, எல்லாத்தையும் சேர்த்து we managed to put it together. Then, so that's what I do for AR pretty much. I worked on a lot of his songs, a lot of his scores, and basically it's an extensive list for me to say, right? But whether it's from Shakalaka Baby to it just keeps going. But definitely working with him was great because he gives the freedom of expression where he lets you he likes you to bring in your ideas as well. He believes that music is cohesive. It takes a group of ideas coming together, and how it's all put together, how it makes the end result more soulful. And it is a wonderful learning experience working with them. For like I was with them for almost 14 years till I came back to Canada. And it was an eye-opening experience to to be there right from when I joined them. It was Dil Se was going on in '98, and when by the time I came back, it was just after Slumdog Millionaire. So I saw a lot of different languages, movies of different emotions, songs of every style, and singers, and so many different things which were all put together so aesthetically well, and it was such a beautiful learning curve. And with all the freedom of expression, not just I had, but including when the singers have it, and we let the singers do different things. It's not like idan tune இப்படிதான் பாடணும். This is the you got to, nothing is stuck, nothing is set in stone. Music has always got a flex around it till it there's a position where we all believe that everybody should be happy, the producer, the
They
director,
can
everywhere.
improvise. They're allowed to improvise basically.
Exactly. And and yes, we do take a call, on how much improvising, and how much evlo we can go and without going crazy. But it worked for us. It worked extremely well, and I think that's the biggest respect and working for him. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's that.
Yes, yes. Okay, now since you've been working for film music, let me tell you, like this in India, as you know, the
Mhm.
singers have the impression that singing for films is the ultimate goal, right? So you go through whatever phase you are, you learn music, you don't learn music, you start from a bathroom, wherever it is.
Right.
But the ultimate goal is to become a film singer.
Hmm.
Now, I don't see, what are your thoughts on this, basically?
Seri.
Is it right?
Now I'll tell you. See, now we have to go back to a little bit of history. Okay. So because we have to look at there was the whole Western world, right? Which was pretty much, if we look at India, India is in a very unique scenario of movie making. Okay, like we were the only movie film industry in the entire world where we were incorporating songs right until today, right?
Mm.
And maybe in the Western world there were musicals, and which were said they were musicals, and they were, and it was defined as musicals. But other than that, when they have a regular film, there were no songs in it, and they had their own song industry, they had their own pop industry or music industry, which was very prevalent. And where we had artists from Beatles to Michael Jackson to all these artists, where so basically there's a distinct difference within the music industry and the film industry in the Western world. And there are areas where they came together, right? Where there was featured artists in movies or featured songs from these artists in movies, or, a few little things happened. In India, what happened is basically the music industry was heavily reliant, was only outlet was through the films. This was right from the beginning of the film industry here. So, and that trend kept continuing. So, what happened is there was an independent kind of a music industry outside of films did not grow, and so I guess when, say, in the 70s or 80s, when you were a singer, the most popular, the most famous you could become was only when your songs could come out in an outlet of films rather than in an outlet of, because there's no independent songs, there were no labels promoting it, because everybody was in that ideology that the song has to come out of
Films.
film. So every
Yeah.
singer also felt that because there was nothing else. There wasn't even a choice in the 80s and 90s, 80s at least. In the 90s, things changed. Like Suresh Peters came out with Minnal.
Yes.
There were a couple of independent albums which started coming out from the 90s. I think Anuradha Sriram did something. This is in the Tamil industry, and of course Hindi in the 90s it kind of got rampant when Magna Song came into the game. And we saw Alisha Chinai and all these other artists, which are all again following what we call indie pop. Um, so,
Yeah.
but
Magna Sound headed by Madhav Das.
it was always a 10% segment compared to the music of the music industry compared to the film music industry, and that's how it always was. So now maybe the trend, it's always been like that, right until 2011, 2012 even. It's not, I wouldn't say it's changed. It's just maybe the music, the independent films, the non-film songs are probably growing at a much bigger ratio right now, and people are
Yes.
doing more stuff, right? But that's today in this, in the last maybe 10, 20 years. But this change is going to take some time. But that's why I think singers still think the ultimate is that, because at this point it is that, right? If you want to get
Yeah.
100 million views, movies are casually doing it, a film audio track is for casually doing it. But at the same time, when it is an independent song, it's pretty hard to get 100 million views, because
Yeah.
it's you know and
But
I
then,
think.
yeah, Maithili, that now since the movies are there, you had a question.
Yes, as of now, we all know it is COVID,
Mhm.
that COVID has shattered the movie industry also.
Yes.
And it looks like it will take another 2 years, 1 or 2 years to recover
Mhm.
from this. So with no or very few songs, new songs coming out, what do you think of the music industry?
Well, It's this is I'd hate to say this, but sometimes the way the situation is COVID is kind of like a blessing in disguise for independent music, because now suddenly, like just like you said, there's no film songs coming out, and music is something people are always going to need. People like
Yes.
it's something which always is going to exist, and it's always going to come out in some form or the other. So when people are always going to look for music, and here there is a massive scope for independent music to kind of make a stronger entry, a stronger impact, because the market is not being saturated by film songs. So it really opens out. Even when you look at radio stations, they're going to need content. Television stations
Yeah.
are going to need content. Any music channel is going to need content. And if there's no film content, then they have to develop other content. So
Okay.
definitely it's a good thing. And but it has impacted in a way of a lot of bands not being able to perform, and stuff like that. So it is there, but it's definitely, I think, it's a good time for people to come out with a lot of material at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. All
But
like even for smaller labels, right?
Definitely for
Okay.
everybody, because I don't think it's not it's not that much about, I think anybody with conviction, you see, because I don't think making music or doing music has a need to stop at any point, right? Now,
Yes.
the thing is, when you're with the film industry, unfortunately, the music gets stuck because the film can't come out, the music can't come out, right?
Mm.
But other than that, if you look at the independent industry, there's no film and there's no reason the music has to be stuck. It can come out. So that is the difference. So I think a lot of independent music, all smaller labels, independent artists, even a person who has a guitar who can just sing a song, and or is able to put it out, right? And
Okay.
I think social media made it easier. So it's the future for sure.
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so now when you're talking about this, a good time for independent music, which yes, both of us we also subscribe to it.
Hmm.
Now, as far as the music industry in India has been concerned, the singer has always been a brand.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there was S.P. Balasubramaniam, there was Hariharan, there was K.J. Yeshudas. Anyone. It is the singer alone who has been projected throughout.
Yeah.
Right. So now you said, okay, there could be a singer with a guitar and he can come out. So now what happens to the other support infrastructure, the support resources, wherein the songwriters there, other instrumentalists are there, or rather, let's say the whole band is there. Let's not talk about people like Mojo. Yeah, let's not talk about them. Of course, they are a bit more organized.
Yeah.
But don't you think that even a jam session can be converted into a proper something that is deliverable? Don't you think so?
Um. See, I think it takes, see, usually when, like, okay, since we're only talking about music, and let's just talk about music and no visuals, okay? Because
Yes,
let's not even bring the visual into account. Because to me, firstly, the way I look at music is, you see so many people walking around with just headphones, right?
Mm.
And they have no visual. They're not walking around watching something, so they're
Mm.
just
yes,
listening. And I think music is always primarily meant to be an oral experience. It's just, you can lie in bed, close your eyes, and listen to music. And it's, so when it's like that, it just means today, with the advent of home studios, really quality affordable equipment, where people are able to get great quality sound, with the advent of social media, and things like YouTube, where they're able to even learn how to use what they have properly, and they're able to create a production at home for next to nothing, which is really beneficial at this level. And now the thing is, when you talk about, definitely I would say yes. When you look at a film content, it's, you never see a film sound score, say in an Indian film sound score, and where a band is involved, for instance. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Yes.
happened. Maybe in the film the story might have a band, but it's still, it's the actors, and it's not the real thing, right?
Yeah.
So here is where I think the bands, and they have opportunities, they have access to the equipment and the technology, and I think, in like, let's not see, the point is, when it's big films, like when you talk about SP Balasubramaniam or Hari Haran or Shankar Mahadevan and all these big singers, we have to understand that they're also been part of gigantic projects,
Yes.
always. And, those projects have had huge star cast, big budget films, big banner films. There's a lot of promotion. So, so they obviously, they're awesome singers too. But obviously, they just thrust into the limelight, including the music director and, lyricists. But I guess the musicians who play are mostly session musicians. So it's not like, like when you look at AR Rahman, he credits everybody on his songs, all the instrumentalists who played. I think today, these days, most music directors I know credit the musicians involved, right?
The
But
music directors do. Music directors do. What I'm talking about, when this independent music comes out.
yeah,
So how are the songwriters credited? I mean, will it happen? Because
of
everyone
course,
ultimately looks
I
for
mean,
that brand.
okay, we like, say, if I do work on a bunch of independent songs, we always credit the people who are involved, in every sense. We credit them, and I mean, that's just the way it is. You have to credit them, and uh, I think, though, for anything to get noticed, even for their credits to get noticed, the product has to make an impact, right? Only then the true credit gets noticed, right? If there's no impact, then nobody sees it. Then there's no, even if you credit or not, it's not going to matter. If
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, right? Like, so but in terms of, uh, the importance of a person in a production, definitely it's there. It's credited. Like when it's a band, it's a band. A band comprises of, multiple members, right? So there are, in India, unfortunately, it's like, band culture is very, very, very limited, right?
Yeah.
So, it's like, definitely I see a little more bands in Kerala than,
True.
which are doing it. There's, uh, but otherwise, generally, you take outside Kerala and maybe Mumbai and Chennai and, few little places, there's no band culture, so, but singers, you find them everywhere, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? You can go to the interiors of the country and you'll find singers
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yes.
So that's the way it is, I guess. But I don't think in independent music everybody's got a chance to prove their worth, and that's what it's about, and you get the chance to prove it. And now, with this whole situation of the film industry being suppressed because of COVID, there's now, not only they get to prove themselves, but they have a much better chance of getting noticed, whoever it is. And if your product is good, if you have something to sing and say, and which people notice and it connects, it's great. And I think, that is what's being given to people.
That's very interesting. So it's a basically it's the opportunity and the time is right for independent musicians to come out, exhibit what they can do, their talents,
Absolutely.
and it's an opportunity to fill up the void that has been created by film music right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's true.
Yeah.
yeah. And do you,
I
yes,
think
Michael.
I think see, the thing is like this, right? Like, I think a lot of people, this void is something I noticed, right? And Suresh, when I touched base with you, and when I saw the Manjari music come up, I realized that this is a initiative, this is a situation even you guys noticed, right? And if I know there's going to be at least 10 other people possibly who probably have noticed it, right? Now, in the advent of that, what's going to happen is, because it's not going to take one artist or one composer to make the difference. It's going to take an entire group of people. You know what I'm saying? An
Yes,
entire
yes, yes.
formula of content which has to come out, because a radio station, we can't say play independent songs. They'll be like, yeah, we can play this today, then what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So they need content which is all different. And in the end,
Yeah,
we need lots of content coming from lots of people, lots of places, which all, go in. And then the whole graph of independent music will shoot up in India. It will definitely, I think, there's enough to go and, rise up at least by 40 to 50%, and also when this independent music gets popular and it rises up, it opens out another option, because we have to understand that the film industry is going to be very strongly impacted by this. Because let's say even if film starts rolling and film start releasing, there is going to be issues of social distancing in theaters, and how many
Yeah.
people they can't, it's not going to be the same ever again, and in that scenario, uh, there's going to be a lot of cutbacks on the film industry, so in which case, there's also choices that they can source out songs from the independent industry. So now
yes.
that is the connection the whole Western world operates on, so
But then what happens to the established people, the singers, the composers,
oh yeah, they
say
can
A.R.
they can
Rahman,
also
for
do
instance?
independent music, nothing is stopping them, right? It's
But
not,
would they
nothing
be
is
able
stopping
to
AR
come down
Rahman
to
from
that
doing an
level?
album now, or Anirudh from doing an album now, or or Santosh Narayan from doing an album now with anybody. They can still compose. Madan Karki can still write lyrics, and and Hariharan can still sing and release it. It's not Shankar or Hariharan have not released independent albums. They have, right? Shankar released Breathless, which was huge,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
as an independent album. So in that time, right? So it is there, and but the film industry is so big, they swallowed Shankar. They took him away,
I
where
know.
he's been so busy with that he has not had time to do another independent album.
Okay, yeah.
And
So,
also the market
hmm,
is suppressed, that independent albums don't sell, or that's how it's been designed, that it doesn't sell as much as or it doesn't impact as much as film songs.
yeah.
So basically the value given to it is much lower, which also kind of discourages bigger artists from doing more independent stuff.
Exactly. We'll come to that, Praveen, because we have some questions also on that, on the very same thing. So
Mhm.
before that, Maithili had something else to ask.
Yeah.
So anything else you
Let's
want to ask,
let's
Maithili?
assume that there is a whole bunch of people who watch this interview and decide to take your advice, and they wish to use your services on composing or whatever. What
Beautiful.
is the genre of music that you wish to operate in? In the sense, where do you think you are the best and can deliver beyond expectations?
It's not.
Beautiful.
I think you know. See, I don't know. Some people specialize in certain things, right? Like, so let's just put an analogy. So you can like with music, and especially when you come from this entire film background, right? What it has taught me, like when okay, before 98, I was in Australia, and I was heavily only into hip hop and R&B and English, and that's what I studied, music production, and I was working with labels there and artists there, and only doing that genre, right? But in '98, when I met Rahman in India and I joined him, I started doing also, whether it was, I started doing Western classical to Indian classical to fusion to jazz and hip hop and pop and EDM. So and country music, it doesn't matter, right? So the thing is, suddenly kawalis are thrown at you, and then suddenly from the kawali it goes into a Western classical BGM, and there's these
Okay.
multiple genres, and which all work. They all work, in conjunction with each other. So I don't think there's any specific style that we go, this is what, because I think that style is always defined by the artist. You know,
Okay.
it is so every artist see, an artist should have a unique style. An artist has to be different to be
Okay.
noticed. This is what I believe. Any,
Okay.
not just an artist, anybody. If you want to be noticed, you got to be different. And when you're different, or you put it this way, when you're different, you have more chances of being noticed. And
Mm.
the key is, I think you got to be original. That's the other catch, right?
That's true.
I
That's
don't want
that's
a
the
guy
most
who comes to me and
important.
says, "Sir, I can sing like Shankar Mahadevan," because I
Mm.
can get Shankar Mahadevan to sing it for me if I want that. I want a person to sing like it is him, and it's got to be unique. It's got to be his timbre, his style of singing, and I also independent music. There's something very important about independent music is the content, right?
Yeah.
Because independent music, there's one advantage: you can say what you want. It's not like a film where there's a situation where they say, "Sir, the hero is in love with the heroine, and the heroine's angry with him, and he's running behind her and trying to, appease her or whatever." Here, it's not that. Today I'm making a song. Okay, I'm going to make a song on any subject. I can say I want to make a song on a butterfly, or I can make a song. I actually, so I made a song recently with Karthik, singer Karthik, a song called Pachakili. And just
Okay.
because one day I just got up and I said Pachakili, and I'm like, I'm in Canada, there's no Pachakili here even, right? But I could say what I want, right? And I could develop it. And I think, but that was just a fun idea. But, here you can say the utmost serious things, you know.
Mm.
So I think it's going to come down to that content also of what you're going to say, which is different, how you present it, which has got to be different. Now, I look for all those things. When,
Okay.
otherwise,
Yeah,
and when that difference comes, I look at how to make that stand out, within the batch, and what I can do to keep that difference and to enhance that difference. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? I'm not going to
yes,
take them and say, no, 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 don't sing like that. Now, I want you to sing it like how SPB sang that, or how this thing,
no,
change. I
Okay.
don't want to, bring him back to normalcy. I want to take his difference further, right? At the same time, I don't want to go and find somebody who's normal and keep pulling him to be different, because, it's not worth it. They keep pulling back that. So I think sometimes when people do cover songs, there's two ways of doing cover songs. One is
Yes.
you mimic and you parrot the original. So you're singing
Okay.
just like the way the original is done, right? And
Yes.
a lot of people are sometimes just mimicking it. So sometimes people can be really good at mimicking that, right? But the thing is, there's another beautiful way of taking a cover song and singing it your way. If you sang it, what would, how would you sing it? How would you,
Okay.
change your sangadis? You can change your notes. You can do so many other different things. I look for people who do that, right? So I
Okay.
think that's really crucial.
Yeah.
yeah. So some improvisation or maybe an
Yeah.
unplugged version would be good.
Something different, something which is noticeable, right? And
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
it is,
So yes,
any singer, I think any singer who's been instantly noticed has always been, if you look at the latest phenomenon today, as we call it, Shriram, he is a
Mm.
very different style singer. That's why he got noticed.
yes,
There was
very
nobody
true.
singing like him in what he was doing. Or you look at Benny Dayal, he's very different, right? That's what, that's, you look at all these singers, they're all uniquely different. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now, so if now let's say there are a bunch of youngsters now watching this interview and they're all motivated and charged up. So, and do you have any piece of advice for them?
uh Definitely. I think one thing about music is definitely you got to keep, singing, whatever it is, in any art form, I would say, you got to keep at it, and don't ever get frustrated, by anything. Don't ever get demoralized. Don't get frustrated. Um, you just got to be focused, be sincere to the art, and keep doing it. I would also recommend people, I always tell people, if you're a singer, for instance, or an instrumentalist, it doesn't matter. Practice recording yourself, listening
Mm.
back to yourself, watching yourself. You'll learn a lot from that. You'll identify your
Interesting.
own mistakes, you will fix it yourself, and you will get better. So
That's very
that's my
interesting.
only
Mm.
advice. Practice.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it. So we'll just run through a few questions that have come in.
Sure.
One is from Pratish Moni, who says that it has badly affected the bands, which we have
Yes.
addressed
Hmm.
because of the COVID.
COVID.
So now we go into one Mr. Murli Arunachalam, who says now, yeah. So he says, what are the revenue streams in indie music? Is it the number of streams on Spotify? So, you have anything to say about that?
Well, for any music, whether it's indie or full music, all revenue streams are the same.
Yeah,
As in, it's all a percentage and it's all X amount of ways it goes out. But revenue streams are basically, yes, there is audio streams which come from Spotify. There's I think over 100 streaming sites. Like from Spotify, Ghana, Hangama. There's so many, right? And uh, that is for audio streaming. There's also things like Apple Music or Amazon where you can
Mm.
buy the song as well, right? So that's another revenue source. YouTube views is another revenue source. But obviously, you got to get, like a lot of people ask me, they go, like even considering all these things as revenue sources, you got to remember that we are talking at least a million plus in numbers, before you see revenue. You know what I'm saying? This is not meant to dishearten people. It's actually, you just said that it's way 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 achievable. A lot of people have done it. So I think you got to set your standards high. You can't just become happy very easily, or you can't get disappointed because you're not making money in terms of revenue streams. I think with this whole thing of online concerts, it's very new. As I know, my buddy Suresh Peters is doing an online concert tomorrow, and I think it's going to be one of the first online concerts where a ticketed online concert where actually we are all curious to see. I hope it works out because he's got a nice little band together and he's doing it. And the point is, if this thing works, this opens out avenues for a lot of bands because like you said, the first question, where he says it's affected bands. Yes, it has, because bands haven't got venues to play. It is affected. I won't say it's affected every pretty much performing artist. You know what I'm saying? There's no performances happening. So that
yeah,
that is the catch. And hopefully we are still waiting to see how this online performances will work.
yeah,
But the revenue stream at this point is this, and that's the way it works, right? Like that's the revenue stream everybody relies on.
yeah. So anyway, there's someone called Mr. Karthikeyan Bhaktavatsilam who asks, would the future of movies be OTT platforms significantly? But of course, we are discussing about music, but maybe as a side, he asked this
Yeah,
question.
I
What do
would
you think
say,
about that?
see, again, right now it's just a discrepancy in math. Okay, so it's like this. It's the movie industry had, like, at least let's just take India. That's the industry I know,
Yes.
or even pretty much a South industry. So let's just say you have the big box office movies, right, which
Mm,
relied on
mm,
big openings, and
yeah.
so they were dealing with, say, massive numbers, right?
Yes.
OTT does not have massive openings. OTT is a
Yeah.
steady stream. It goes much slower. They work in a very different level. So what's going to happen is this is going to greatly impact. Like, let's just say if there's a movie made by X and his box office could have been 100 crores,
Yeah.
and OTT is going to offer him like not even 10 crores, right?
Mm.
So his choice is not, so unless, so even OTT is only going to get the more of the indie movies, because the same COVID is also going to change the film industry. I mean, I know we're not talking about films here, but everything I'm
Yeah.
saying is going to apply to films as well. There's going to be a surge of independent films coming out, right? Which is also again going to need independent songs. So I
Yes.
think basically a lot of things are going to change, and I think all that is going to come out only on OTT. OTT is going to be the future. I see, because theaters, even in Canada right now, I think in a theater it's restricted to 50 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, how does one make, so how does the theater profit at 50 people?
It's very difficult. It's almost
Very
next to
difficult.
impossible.
Right? So, because they have to pay their rent and all that. So, then where does the producer and the distributor make their money then? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The theater guy is
Yeah.
just barely covering his overheads. And there were talks that theaters are going to become Amazon distribution centers. So,
Yeah.
see, the question of impact is, it's that. So OTT is going to be the future. And I think also, I don't see it becoming too far where even live concerts will become an OTT thing.
Okay.
There'll be a lot of streaming concerts available on OTT. And,
Yes.
so I think within the next 3 or 4 years, there's going to be tremendous change. And all the people who are in it from now and work sincerely for the next 3, 4 years will
Yeah.
definitely benefit.
Okay.
Okay. So that's it. So I think, yeah, we had the same gentleman saying very well said about the blessing in disguise for indie music.
Yes.
And then we have a whole lot of people saying good, and they include one Mr. Baiju Senadipatan, one Queen Param, and then we have Murli Arnachalam, and so many people greeting. And there's one more, cost of producing independent music is way more than revenue coming out of it. How can a professional artist survive? Maybe this could be the last question you take.
It's a tough one, actually. Yeah, it is. It is. So it's a cat and mouse situation here, because unfortunately, uh,
So who will bell the cat?
it's not about who will bell the cat, right? Like, because it's now it's we are talking about law of survival here. So, because again, even if you look at an independent recording studio, it has to make money. It cannot just survive on love and fresh air and free services, right? So,
True.
even if they're going to have a baseline price, any musician, even can, even if they come down to a baseline price, but when it all adds up, and you make a video and you manage it with your friends and somebody shooting it and all that, but when you total it all up, it is going to be a cost. Okay, now you take that cost and you look at revenue generated from streaming and all that, it's not going to match, right? And earlier, what used to match was people could do this, they put their stuff out as promotion, and then they do live shows to make money, and they
To
use these
compensate.
things as promotion for their live shows.
Mhm.
But now there's no live shows either, right? So even
Yeah.
revenues have been hit there, because I know a lot of my friends, like every singer I know, nobody's performing, nobody has shows, right? There's no shows, there's no concerts anywhere. The whole world, including Justin Bieber sitting at home chilling out, Beyonce is chilling out, AR Rahman's chilling out. They're all chilling out, because there's I mean, there's no concerts in that sense. Um, so it's affected every single. So that was probably, in this day and age, live revenue or performance revenue was one of the biggest revenues coming in for musicians. Because sales
Okay.
have plummeted radically. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
and streaming has not yet found. It has not yet. It's going to take time before the streaming numbers become a reliable revenue source for doing this, right? Now,
Okay.
if you're a really good artist and if you made the difference, there are artists who have gone and got 100 million views, in which case you get approximately $100,000, and which is an awesome revenue source for a song.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's so nobody can say it cannot be done. It's been done a million times plus, right? So where people have got, so even if you get 10 million views, you get $10,000, which is a lot, like almost 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs. So that's a lot of money. You can casually produce video and everything, right? And but your
Yeah.
content has to get that 10 million. It has to be that good or that
Exactly.
different, right?
Yeah.
And that
The
that, is,
content,
that comes down to you.
the
It's like
content
you
becomes the
can't blame
king.
anybody else on that, right? Like it's sometimes with music, it's got to connect. how it connects, nobody's in control of this. I cannot guarantee somebody I'll make them a superstar. Nobody can,
Yeah.
right? It's you can have the blessings, and you've got to hope and go and connect. That's, you hope it connects. People connect with you, and
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the way it is. That, unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's the way it is. But that's the way it is with anything. There's no fixed thing, and people. That's why I also find a lot of people in music are also doing. I know they do other jobs, and they. Yeah, like, I've had so many people ask me this question. They go, "Sir, should I, quit everything and do music full time?" And I'll be like, "Well, uh, please don't do it, because unless see, to do something like that, especially if you have a family and stuff, you got to be sensible about those things, right? And you cannot be blinded by passion. You got to be realistic.
Yeah.
And but I think all the people I've seen who are doing it realistically have done it. And you got to be consistent. You can't put out one song every 2 years and 3 years and expect people to remember you. In this day and age, social media, it's also, you got to interact a lot. There's a lot of things people have to do to push themselves. They everything they do, they see the results of it. They get more followers. you know why do the bigger artists have more followers? And suddenly we see so many people rapidly grow, right?
Yeah.
And it's because they're at it. And I think that's the important thing. It's that
So
goes
let's
along with the
summarize.
practice. That goes along with practicing your art, and focusing on your art, and being, it comes down to all that. You got to schedule yourself, and treat it seriously, and definitely you will get noticed.
So let's summarize it like the quality of content matters and the consistency. Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
this will get you the money. Okay, so that's it. Then I think we have some people saying that yes, and that's Bhuvana who says is a very practical guidance. And she also says that a great session with a lot of insights. And then there's one Shreya Lakshmi Rajan who says it's nice, and a whole lot of people. Hi, and we have our good old Naveen
Mr.
Daswani.
Naveen
Why don't you say
Daswani,
hi
all
to
right. How
him?
are you, sir? Yeah,
Yeah,
he deserves,
but
Mr. Naveen Daswani. He's been supportive of me right from my early days. So a big shout out to him, because he's like my godfather, in Chennai. So thank you, Naveen ji. Good to see you.
he's our godfather too. He's
Oh,
our
great. Wow.
godfather too.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, he's the godfather
Well,
of Chennai, a godfather of South India.
of the
South
music
India.
industry, yeah.
Mhm.
And
Okay, so that's
meanwhile, Suresh,
nice.
thanks also for
Yeah,
having
tell.
me. I'm great. I'm really happy to collaborate with you guys. I mean, when we spoke, and all the initiatives you said you guys were doing, and we spoke about
Yeah,
so many things we were in tandem with. And I'm looking forward, to seeing the kind of
yes,
artists, because we all can't go sourcing artists all the time. We are so busy developing the current artists we've sourced, or which have been sourced and brought to us. So I'm always, happy to see people like
yeah.
you sourcing artists and giving them a chance, and working with you guys on independent stuff. So for sure, it's such a great pleasure.
Oh, so thank you, thank you. So it's been very nice. Would now the you take over. Do you want to say anything else, Praveen?
No, yeah, no, not really. See, the thing is, for me, everything always goes to the artist. I'd like to see more and more artists make it. I like to see more and more artists come out with independent stuff, because I would, in for me, the big picture is. I'm sure it's the same for you guys. The big picture is to see the independent music grow, the industry grow, and when it grows, a lot of things will happen. A lot of things, a lot of explosions will come. You'll find, and each artist's fans will bounce off other artists' fans. There's going to be a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
cross pollination. So I think that is really, and for that you need that whole buzz of independent music. And that's what I'm so glad that initiatives like this are happening. And for sure, Suresh and Maithili, I mean, I'm in awe of this, and I'm gladly with you guys. That's why I'm here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
And
much.
I am personally awed by this use of this cross pollination between fans. Well, that's a nice use of this particular word. Huh?
Yeah, yeah, that it's definitely, it is, because I think that's one thing we have to use effectively, right? What
I'm
happens is, I encourage all artists to kind of even collaborate and do stuff, because it's good for both of them, right? This
yes,
person might have X number of fans, and suddenly they see this, and there is cross pollination, and it definitely helps. And I think all that, see, when we talk about these kind of things, what does it do? When you increase your fan base, it increases your streams. When you increase your streams, you increase your revenue generation. It's a
yes,
slow process, but that's how it happens. We have to plant the seeds, you know. Only then the cross pollination can happen. You know
yes,
what I'm saying? We all are
yes, yes.
we are all botanists, basically.
I understand. Yes. Okay. So it's been nice meeting with you,
Likewise, thank
and
you,
I hope.
Maithili.
Same to, same
Thank you.
to. Thank you. Thank you
And
so much.
yeah, keep in touch,
So
and
let's catch up.
and all the
Let's
best.
catch up
And
sometime
I want
soon.
to tell all the singers out there who are watching it, any artist, any musician, any producers, any composers, just be at it, and just go for, just go for it. Just keep doing stuff. Don't ever pull back. Don't get demoralized. Don't, if even if something doesn't go to the way you thought it doesn't matter. You just do one more. That's it. Don't ever have to hold back on that. And that's it. That's my best
Yeah.
advice. you know
And Manjari
Thank
Music
you.
is with them.
Yeah.
Definitely, hats off to Manjari Music. Take
Thank
care.
Thank you
you.
so much.
Bye bye.